All right, welcome back, everyone, to Black Bull Podcast Strategy Edition. Today we got Lonely Design Co.'s Noah.
How are you?
So Noah is the man and the brains behind Lonely Design Co. I've been following him for a while. He's got a cool style to it. It's definitely dark.
Yeah.
It's contrasty. It usually has a single statement that works. It really works well. How would you describe your style?
Just the dark art. I mean, it's got a little Chicano influence. Obviously, heavy metal.
Yes.
It's really a lot of my influence just comes from music. So I listen to a lot of like stoner rock and stuff like that in that genre.
I guess the Chicano stuff makes sense because you are from Southern Cal, so like that that is kind of part of that culture.
Yeah, definitely. Grew up admiring that whole look.
Yeah.
Ben Davis and tall socks and
Dickies.
just that clean style and old English,
I mean, it works. It's very recognizable and somehow it's contagious. You think it wouldn't be, but I mean, okay, SK, he's kind of got like the medieval flares to it, but I feel as if there's a little bit of like crossover between the like black and white contrasty look and then also the old English.
Yeah.
But it is distinctly different.
For sure. Yeah.
And what would you say influenced you visually aside from just like the music and everything? I mean,
the tattoo culture.
Oh yeah.
Someone told me, a good tattoo is something recognizable from like, 12 feet away or something, some arbitrary number. But I was thinking about that, making graphics, and I was thinking, if you're going to wear something, it should be, in my opinion, visible, and recognizable from a distance.
Yeah.
And then as far as like influence stuff, growing up in like skate culture, punk culture, it's always been kind of like dark,
Yeah.
At least that's what I gravitated towards: bats and skulls and stuff like that. Yeah.
Skulls for sure.
Yeah, snakes.
I mean, it's just like, I feel like we have similar interests. I was like big into skating, like to play metal music, enjoy punk rock.
Right.
But it's interesting how like there's always those like, staple images, like you said, like there's always a skull.
Yeah.
There's always like Vans and Converse, and then of course like forever it's just been leather jackets. It's always the same things. But most other in other circles it kind of grows past things. But punk rock and metal shit has always kind of held on to that look.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how that's happened.
I mean, it's classic shit.
It's classic.
It never goes out of style. And
because you look at like images of punk from the 70s and it's like the same.
Yeah, I mean, even better, I mean, remember that terrible time in the late 90s when, people were wearing giant shorts and...
Oh my God, yeah.
There was a lot of, like big name brands on T-shirts and...
Yeah. There's definitely the dark ages.
Yeah, it's like... Let's forget about that and go back to what were they doing in the 70s or the early 80s.
Yeah.
It was like
well,
cool stuff.
We even talked about it with your van, how there's was it the late 80s when cars started getting weird in the 90s?
Yeah.
But it almost seems like that style's coming back again too. It's like 90s is kind of back, but I swear to God,
90s is kind of gaudy.
Yeah.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just like King Frump is back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Frump
Normcore.
Yeah. It's just all that is somehow merging back into style, and I get why they're doing it.
No, I mean you gotta. I mean it. I want to stay flexible as I get older. I don't want to be that old man that's like disconnected from what kids are doing, because the youthful mind has a way of kind of processing things that it sees and hopefully taking the best parts and just kind of creating its own thing with that. So I don't hate on anything that contemporary youth is doing. It is what it is. Well, you're not going to fight it.
They push culture. I mean, the youth is the ones that push pop culture.
Sure.
All throughout the years. So to be an old person and not like or not want to pay attention to what the youth is doing is kind of like, well, you're missing out on like what is the entertainment culture at the time, or the art culture.
I know what I like, so I know what I'm gonna make.
Well, yeah, and back to the leather jacket look. I think it's, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and it's like one of those things where it works so well. Why would you want to like take detours on it?
Right. Yeah.
But the frumpy dad shoes, they're back in style. That'll
Wait, like New Balances?
The old New Balance.
No.
They are. Well, okay, the Nike Monarchs is, I think.
Oh, I did see that, yeah.
It's the same kind of thing, but I think like that's not going to last. That's not going to endure like the punk style does.
No, it's not going to endure like Vans or Converse.
Right.
Those will never, I mean, didn't Converse get started in like the 30s, mid-30s, I'm pretty sure?
Yeah.
Like, they'll never die. Leather jackets will never die.
Just since we're talking about it, just shoes in general. Did you hear about that kid in Beaverton who figured out how to use bots to snatch up like Nikes, like mass amounts, like I'm talking warehouses full of Nikes, and then resell them? But
really?
Yeah, but it was all under. Okay, well, it gets kind of shady because his mom is like the GM of Nike North America, and she was part of. And I hope I'm not misspeaking on this. So allegedly, she was part of the direct to consumer project where they were taking out the middleman of Foot Locker and all these shoe stores, so that people like him can buy it straight off the Nike website. So anyways, he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's on like his mom's credit card.
Oh shit.
It's on the business card, isn't it?
It was, yeah, and he was using the discount, and he was like having access to all this confidential shit, and it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a total shit show.
Yeah.
And the minute the news, because he did an interview with Bloomberg. Like with the biggest business magazine out there. He just like spilled the beans. She resigned like the next day.
Yeah.
Did she know? Was she like compliant with all of it?
She made one statement saying that it technically wasn't breaching any Nike policy, but everyone's like,
but morally and ethically.
Yeah, it's not. It's not right.
Like,
I mean, if they want something from her, they'll get it. That company's too big to fail. So if they, if they felt like there was something that was wrong, that wronged them, they'll for sure,
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that she must have resigned the minute she did, because they probably would have probed her and found out a lot of other bad things that are happening over there. And this is right up the road. This guy lives up in Beaverton.
Huh. I mean, I heard that scenario was happening in China, where they were, I don't know, hacking in, but they were redirecting sales and whatever.
Yeah, well, they would do that. I think they would resell a lot of this in China too. I mean,
anybody that fucks with Nike is okay with me.
Well, seriously, it's like, okay, when that shit happens, I'm like, well, bummer. That's part of it, like corporations.
But then again, after he started doing that, they got when they implemented the direct to consumer thing, they had like a huge increase in revenue, like up to 30%. So I mean, the plan, there was like legitimacy to the plan. But it just opened the door for people like pieces of shit like that would have bots that are just going to buy everything.
Well, that's how like tickets work too. Like concert tickets, like scalpers just have bots.
That's so true.
Right when it gets dropped, that it's just sold out, and then you have no choice, really, because there's none left. They released so many, and these scalpers used bots that like in 1 second, like 100 tickets were bought up.
Yeah, so you gotta look out for that when your brand blows up for these bots that are gonna.
Yeah. I don't think I have to think about that for another couple of years.
but your brand is kind of in the style of where there's like scarcity of it. Like you're gonna make only so many, and then you're gonna make something new. Right. You're not just gonna keep cranking out old styles forever. Yeah. But like, where do you say you come up with your concepts for your clothes and your designs?
I'm sitting in my studio and sketching, and usually it's just one little thing will pop into my head, and or I'll hear like lyrics to a song and think, what's that visually look like to me, and then start piecing it together and keep refining.
Wow.
Yeah.
Literally lyrics of songs, and that's where you can get the inspiration from and turn it into something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of like, if the title doesn't have lonely in it, I mean, because I name all the pieces, so if it doesn't have lonely in it, it's probably something that I heard, you know, being growled at me.
Something I have that sweatshirt that had, was it like a cougar? What was that?
Oh, a panther.
It's a panther.
Yeah.
I've been wearing it a lot.
Yeah. I made that. I wanted something with chains on the sleeves, and then I'm thinking like, you know, a pissed animal would probably pair well with this.
Yeah, but yeah, you have the chains, you have barbed wire. I mean, I just like the prints on the sleeves too. I think it's a good look.
Yeah, I mean, it's more square footage to, you know, get some more detail.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
What was there a designer or a clothing brand when you were a child that you favored or just kind of held on to longer than you should have?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the band tees that I had, you know, obviously anyone over 20 or whatever knows that it was hard to get cool stuff. And I grew up in kind of a small town in Southern California. And if I wanted something, it was kind of like, well, what's in front of me, you know? So for whatever reason, the punk scene then was really heavily kind of influenced by like early English stuff like Crass. And I think if anyone's into that, they know that Rudimentary Peni was the best band that came out of that whole thing. So the guy that fronted that was Nick Blinko, and he's, you know, fortunately he's actually like a very good draftsman. He and a lot of like his drawings are just kind of like it seems just like he just went for it and didn't leave anything on the table, and just a lot of detail and weirdness and black and white. And so yeah, definitely had one of those, a Rudimentary Peni shirt that went through the laundry one too many times. And then as far as like brand wise, I always thought like in the 90s Black Label, they had the coolest stuff. Yeah. So I always gravitated towards that. I don't even know who that designer was, but it was rad.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
The thing about like punk clothes is, or just punk scene in general, they would have like it was like almost a uniform
for sure
of what they liked.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a lot of them.
Right.
You know, you'd see a lot of them wearing the same like uniform a lot because they were super proud of it. They were like attached to it because I think like you're saying, there's some more value to it than just going and buying something off the shelf. Like it's just some more meaning behind it, and not to mention like they handcraft a ton of it too.
For sure. I always was cutting stuff up and putting a lot of studs in it. And I mean, if anybody that knows me from my childhood knows that it was sometimes over the top, and then as you get older, you refine your tastes and
you figure out just the right amount of stuff to put on.
Yeah.
Splash and bleach on things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if it gets faded, you dye it black again. I've done that.
Yeah, I definitely experimented with that. Yeah.
And then until it unravels on the seams. That's always the downfall of it.
For sure.
Yeah. What are you working on right now?
Right now, well, I mean, currently it's just a lot of just, you know, I got to this point with Lonely where I wanted to keep everything real cohesive. And I think through that, I lost a little bit of the like personalness of it.
Interesting.
So right now it's just I'm just kind of being forward facing with it, and I'm Noah. I make this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's just me.
That seems so important, and I feel like it's really overlooked. Like a brand can, especially if it's I guess a smaller boutique style brand. I think it's important to have you involved,
right,
and your face involved, because I think there's more personality and more things that people can connect with, and especially like when they see you, they'll be like, oh shit, like this guy is hand doing everything here, and that adds value in and of itself.
Yeah, and and fortunately I'm in a point in my life where I've done a lot of self-reflection and been through enough, things, relationships, friendships, jobs, traveled, and it's like, I know who I am. Obviously I'll continue to grow, but for me to be in front of this, I'm proud of it, and I'm okay being, here and being like, this is it. This is the art.
You say self-reflection, and I think that's something that, like, again, a lot of people overlook. I know that we talk about, we're going to do like a retreat as a studio, and that's how we're going to like self-reflect as a group.
Yeah.
What did you do? Like, how did you self-reflect?
I mean,
I know this is like deep, but
no, it's good. Obviously, not obviously, but
you look closer to that.
I feel like pain brings out some true personality traits, or intense emotional experiences will really push forward who you are, your core. My mom passed away in 2006, so that was a big turning point for me. I was in art school, and I think before that, I'm in art school. I'm learning how to draw and paint classically, but I didn't have anything to say really, because I grew up Southern California, and then my mom lived in Maui. So I'm going from San Clemente to Maui, and that's my life. And it's like summertime, year round, surfing, skating, playing music. And then she passes, and it's like, oh, there's some real feeling, real emotion. So process that, and then it's life. You just kind of skip through the good times and the bad times, and then hopefully you're paying attention, and
David Lynch, I guess director, artist, whatever he wants to go by, he has really good thoughts on creativity, and he kind of says that either when you were like feeling an emotion that's so strong that it's taking over your daily life, whether it's positive or negative, those are the moments that you can like really self-reflect and dig deep down and figure out like where you get your inspiration, what you think looks good. And so when you're in like just a mellow mood, in the medium, not super happy, not super sad, and for me, nothing's getting done, or nothing I think cool is getting done. But I think when I'm super excited, super happy, or incredibly sad, that's when a lot of the best work has been done, because I'm distracted by something. It's just me. That's all I'm thinking about, is just me and my own mood and what's happening. So
do you think it's because when you're feeling pain, you know more of what you want to say?
Yeah, you're thinking more so, because it is a huge distraction. It's like, and I'm really having a bad day. It's like not a lot is going to get done. And mostly because I'm just like kind of wallowing in my own sadness. But yeah, I think, you can really look deep down, and these things that are making you sad, you often think, why am I sad? Why is this making me sad? And what's going to fix that? I think for a lot of creative people, especially, is like, well, I'm going to draw, I'm going to paint.
For sure.
It might not fix it, but at least I'm doing this in the meantime.
No, those are good outlets. Yeah.
Dude, it's almost like this is survival instincts where imagine you're in a box.
Right.
You got to get out. You got to punch through that board to get out. But for like artists, the canvas and the paintbrush is you punching through that board.
Yeah, it's the Falcon punch.
And you might, it's a double punch, no matter how it is. So, I mean, I think there's something there. And especially with artists, not artists, I mean, musicians. I feel like musicians, it's like the easiest to hear it because they're saying it. I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you recognize it a lot more. Maybe that's why music is even more relatable.
Well, that's why I think like visual art, especially within design, is kind of like, I feel like you almost have to have the mentality of like, here's what I am, here's what I do. If you don't like it, don't look at it. And that's,
no, absolutely.
And with the musician, the point is like to create more of a community and like bring people in. But with art and design, I guess with certain genres, but I think with like art and design, you take it as it is. Like, this is it. It's, raw and honest. I'm, not always saying something specific. You can take it as you will, but here this is.
Well, what about how, and there's that song Driver's License that's like, it's this big song that's it's a pop song that I don't
know it either, so
I didn't know about it until I started hearing people mention it, and it's just someone getting their driver's license. That's the story. It's like the simplest shit, but again, the relatability of it. Everyone relates to it. It's a catchy poppy song, and somehow that's what gravitates and is on the #1 charts right now. This super wimpy little song about getting a driver's license. And when you say it sounds so ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's you get too relatable, and then it's like, well, that's boring.
Yeah. I mean, I don't find it interesting at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't wallow and because it's a business art for me, and so it doesn't matter how I feel as far as moving the business forward. I've got the brooding artist thing dialed, and as I matured, realize like you got to move forward. It doesn't matter.
Totally.
The world's going to keep moving without you, and then that makes me think about technology. It's like there's no point in fighting it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
You got it. If you want to create something and you want people to buy it, and no one knows who you are, you got to use social media.
Yes.
It's like, I don't have any, it's like, I don't feel bad for anyone that's digging their heels in and not utilizing it.
It's free advertising.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. I mean, there's a few prices to pay here and there, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
Have you dabbled on TikTok yet?
I set up a TikTok. I launched some screen printing videos. And
I'm glad you're doing that and not dancing.
No.
Or maybe it'd be
terrible dancer.
We've been talking, the musicians we've been talking to, like some of the rappers have been like, yeah, TikTok. That's where I've been.
For sure. I'm not surprised.
Someone will make a dance move, like a dance video to it, and they're like, boom, I blew up. And we're like, seriously? Like TikTok? Like,
because a lot of musicians, if their song hits on TikTok, that's all they need.
Yeah. Go follow me on TikTok.
You heard it here first, folks.
Primarily, I'm utilizing Instagram. As the rest of the working world.
Instagram is a little slow on the path of selling itself to the devil. I mean, it did, but it's not as obvious yet.
Yeah.
I mean, the algorithm.
When you open it up, it says Instagram by Facebook.
That's
crazy.
You see that the F word is there, but it still maintains a little bit of authenticity. I don't know.
I mean,
that's all in the eye of the person who holds the account.
Yeah.
But even still, you're buying ad space. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I throw a few bucks here and there to boost an ad.
I mean, there shouldn't be any shame in that. You want people to see your stuff. Then get your ads out there. It is what it is.
By any means necessary.
It is a bit. It's a business.
Yeah.
It's a form of advertising.
Yeah. So did you always want to do design as a business, as a job?
I think childhood, early teens, thinking about like, what am I going to be when I grow up? Yeah, I want to be an artist for sure, or a musician. I grew up playing music a lot, and then moving through that. Let's see, I studied graphic design right out of high school, and this was like cutting vellum and acetate
when it was cool.
It was cool, and learning how to airbrush. And then Mac came out with that early iMac that was like blue. So we had those in the classroom, and then what I realized was nobody knew how to draw in my graphic design classes. So I'm like, I'm gonna step out of this and go take drawing and painting classes.
Well, graphic design was more of a processes thing. It was like understanding the process of how to like put type and overlay things. Like
typesetting.
I wish I still had that old graphic design book. on how to do graphic design, which it was exactly like what you're saying. It was spray, airbrushing, and then like plastic gels and shit. And like it was just so crafted.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No. I mean, this is just like my journey through art and design is, graphic design, realizing I want to learn how to draw better. So, going, finding drawing teachers, painting teachers, learning from them, and then getting sucked into the fine art world. And I went to Europe, I went to Italy and looked at all the old masterworks and fell in love with like Caravaggio.
Wow.
Came back to California and then enrolled in an actual drawing and painting art school. And then just head first into, fine art. And then going as hard as I could in that.
Yeah.
It's building a different type of foundation for graphic designers.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you were studying fine art, because I studied fine art too, and I had the most like pretentious thoughts.
Absolutely.
where I saw graphic design as like that's not the same. I was like, they're not artists.
I just didn't understand it.
Exactly. I just didn't, and that's why I think I thought that fine art was on such a higher pedestal. It's like this is so much more than what they're doing on computers and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I look back, I'm like, what a stupid. Like, I was a complete idiot.
I think there's a nice there should be a in my opinion, there should be a balance between what you're doing by hand and what you utilize in the computer.
It's all,
I do both, and it took me a long time to appreciate typography.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
that's what turned me off from design.
Really?
It's a beast.
Well, I was originally planning on minoring in graphic design in college, and so I'd taken a few design classes that they're super fun, and then I took a typography class, and that's where I was like, nah, man, I'm done with this. Because I thought it'd be great. I'd be like, yeah, I learned, a lot about typography, using different types of title screens for, editing videos and stuff, and yeah, it was like not for me. But the people in my class were like all about it. They loved it, and they're super into all different types.
It's
typefaces,
so important.
Making their own
absolutely.
stuff. I was just like, this is too much for me.
Kern your work.
A lot,
yeah.
It's a lot more difficult than I thought.
Shout out to Ty Palmer, my good friend. He's very, very skilled in typography, and just talking to him throughout the years. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it all just came down to these fundamental typographical knowledge points, and fortunately, and as any good designer artist should have, you should have a close friendships with other people that are super passionate about this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was actually talking to someone today, and it was this girl trying to like start this astro-neurological thing, and I actually told her, I was like, I don't know like what the market is on this.
What even is that?
It's complicated. Anyways, but I was telling her, I was like, you should probably do a podcast, not because you're gonna monetize it, but just because like that's how you're gonna make the connections in this industry, and that's how you can actually talk to people and probably learn a lot more yourself. So so making the connections is super huge. And then if you get a little lost, it's easy just to dial up one of those people that you had that good talk with and then get totally re-inspired. Yeah. Like your buddy who's like really good at fonts. I feel like I got a few of those friends too who are super into graphic design. One guy is like super into like darkroom photography. It's just good to have those people around. Yeah. For inspiration. I think that's part of self-reflection too. It almost puts you in your place a little bit. Yeah. And you understand like, oh, it grounds you. Yeah.
Because you realize I only know so much, because this person who I'm calling, the reason I'm calling them is because they know more than me.
Yeah, you should have
like a moment
people
of humility
around you that will truthfully critique your work. I mean, that's super important. I don't just throw things into print without having someone that I trust take a good look at it.
It's always dangerous for, especially like, I mean, we were editing this video today and we couldn't get, the color grading to look, we just didn't. So it's like both back and forth of us. Like, do you think this looks good? Well, I think you should add more blue to it. if I'm to sit down and do it, I'll look at it for so long that I start just changing over time. When in reality, just asking another opinion, I would have saved so much time.
A fresh set of eyes. That's why companies have art directors.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, okay. I mean, if we're going to talk about that too, there's such an issue with being like too close to your work. And a lot of times you need that outside eye, and it's almost like the art director is that outside eye. They're not the ones always like in the trenches working on it. They're like telling them how it needs to be.
Yeah.
Cohesion. True.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But there's some other agencies though. Okay, like Lincoln Design.
Yeah.
Like their thing is, I mean, they change their logo so often. It's almost like they don't have one. But it's always within the same style though.
Right.
Like you could see any logo they make and you're like, oh, I know it's them.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's an approach that I almost think about entertaining sometimes.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the whole cohesion thing, like everything you make, it's so identifiable as your style. So like at the end of the day, your branding is just your branding. Your logo is just your designs and everyone will understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So your designs, where are they going? What are your designs being used for mostly?
Mostly apparel.
Okay.
Yeah. Shirts, hats, sweatshirts.
You get to wear your own shit every day.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, and that was the intention, was to make stuff that I wanted.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much everything I make is something that I, sat around and was like, I want this.
Yeah.
I just bought one of his sweatshirts too as he came over. I just love it. It's like a tie-dye one that says "Eat Acid." I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Totally.
I can't wait. And it just like, it's such a bold thing to wear.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't have many other tie-dye ones, or I guess it's an indigo dye.
Right.
Technically. Do you indigo dye yourself or?
No, that I was on the hunt for something.
It looks well done, man.
Yeah. Fortunately, yeah.
Are you screen printing your own shirts too?
Yeah, I do all the screen
hand?
printing. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's a whole nother endeavor. I taught myself how to do that. And,
it's another separation between you and a regular graphic designer, right?
For sure. And then having gone through the trial and error of actual print. Sometimes what you think looks good on screen, it's not always going to look good in print. So my mind has slowly moved towards thinking about how is that going to look in print, or how's it going to look stitched?
True.
But
you also have details. Like I noticed on the wrist, I don't know what it's called. You had a little tag on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's such a nice little touch.
Yeah. Detail, man. When I was a kid, my dad took me to Vancouver, and we went to Vancouver, BC, and we went to like a Native American museum, and there was a video playing, and the only thing I remember was this Native American artist, saying God lives in the detail. And I was probably 11 years old, and I just never forgot that.
Wait, that was a Native American artist that had that, you say?
Yeah, I think he was making like flutes or something, and they were, I wish I could remember exactly, but yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway was detail. You have to pay attention.
But I was even going to say, that's even like your wardrobe today. You got an all black going, but you got a pin there. You got a little bit of white in there. Like, I mean, I'm like, that's kind of what I like too, in terms of, I don't know, I guess even just aesthetic in general is like, you kind of have your base, but then there's a few things that you focus on, but they're not overwhelming at all. And like,
for sure. Yeah.
So aside from your brand, it seems like your most prized possession is that van outside.
That thing is bitching. That's like righteous is the only real word.
It's a gem.
Thank you.
It's very well done, and I'm sure it catches a lot of attention.
Yeah.
How did that come to be? Because you sought out that van.
Yeah, for sure.
You knew you wanted that, and did you have like a vision going into it, or how'd that?
You
play
probably
out?
had a bandmate that had a van growing up.
Early on, everything was shitty. So I always thought
everything was shitty.
if I could get one of these, I'd love to be able to make it beautiful. I was searching for a Chevy Shorty 70s. For a while, and then that one popped up on Craigslist, and it was just sitting in a barn in Medford, and it was originally black, which is totally appealing to me. Mm-hmm. It's since been repainted, black. But yeah, no, it's been a cool process restoring an old car and figuring out.
Have you done a lot of the work yourself?
No, I mean I've done the easy stuff, and then everything that was kind of out of my skill level. I had someone paint it, and I had an interior guy do the leather.
The leather is such a nice touch. It's like black on the outside, tan on the inside. You got a flag in there too.
Yeah, I got my banner.
Your banner, yeah. It's kind of like modern pirate. Like the vibe, sure. It's cool though.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I
like it though. It's super clean.
Thank you.
Like I mean, you just got it like repainted, and it's like glossier than like any other car I see on the road.
Dude, they're black rims too,
with the white type on the tires.
Yeah,
type or
and little details.
Super Cobra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the back raised a little more too, or is that?
Yeah. So that's a G20, and those were factory came out with more heavy duty leaf springs in the back, so you could carry a heavier load back there. So it just it kicks up a little bit, and there's a bigger wheel in the back too.
Yeah,
it's super. It's nice because it's a classic car, but it's a functional car. It's solely for the business, and I'll load up the tables and racks and gear and show up and set up, and it's a cool little.
It's an easy way to find you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and like I said, it's so functional. Like, it looks great, and you can put everything in it.
Yeah.
So props to you for making that happen.
Thank you. And if you have a van, you're never homeless.
Hey. If you're gonna be homeless, I'd rather have that. Like that's the van I want to be homeless in.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. God. So, anything else you want to go into, like specifically, or?
I mean, right now, my goal is just to keep doing pop-ups. I love being in Portland, so kind of just popping up in Portland.
How's that been during quarantine?
Not bad. Not as bad as you'd think. Obviously practice all the social distancing stuff, wear a mask, and be responsible that way.
Sure.
But it's a cool way to build community and sell product and get things out there.
Well, I mean, you're also kind of direct to consumer. Like there's no real middleman with what you're doing, so you could find the benefits of it a lot quicker.
Right. Yeah.
You sell online?
Yeah.
Do you sell in any stores at all?
I'm in Lyle's Barbershop, and then I just set up a rack at Legion Motorcycles.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you can go to any one of those places and get some gear.
Been meaning to go there.
Yeah.
They seem like cool people over there.
Great. Both Brian at Lyle's Barber, he cuts my hair. He's amazing. Fantastic barber. Great guy. And then, Alex and Gabe and Tim and Matt and Nick over at Legion Motorcycles. Those are all fantastic people. Great
good,
people.
Man.
They're the homies, huh?
The homies and just down for community and creative stuff. And they're just good dudes.
I like it.
Yeah.
Any advice for people trying to fix their creative roots, redefine themselves, start a local business?
I mean, it's just hours in, right? I've always practiced the fundamentals. It's drawing from, as far as like creating imagery, drawing from life always helps. And just working on it's hard to say, like, what do you want to say early on? So give yourself time to kind of grow into that. And and it's going to be easy to get discouraged. Obviously, there's a lot of input. I don't necessarily look at a lot of art. The artists that I look at are kind of like fine artists like Neo Rausch or, it's nothing that kind of relates to my stuff.
Really? I think that's kind of good though.
Yeah.
That will round you a little bit.
Having those fundamentals without taking in too much outside influence. It's kind of the way I see it, is like, you don't always want to be doing what most of your peers are doing at the same time and having the same style. And I think without having fundamentals, like, I know people who are all self-taught and don't have interest in any types of fine arts. And like, I think what they do is great. It's really creative, but you can tell it's kind of missing a little something that you can tell wasn't built upon a foundation. Like, I mean, I even know people that like can do some great paintings on a tablet, on a computer, but when it comes to like a painting in your hands and doing it yourself, they can't do that. And that blows my mind.
Yeah, I think the best thing I did for my drawing was I drew from life, from the figure for a long time. And that's a grind, man. And I mean, it's hard. And so just, I don't know.
No, I see what you're saying. I think like continually sharpening the sword. But the contrast of influences, do you think that's kind of why, maybe, I don't know if this is just my experience, is a lot of like metal people and punk people would also like be really into hip hop. And they're like they're polar opposite.
It's the counterculture though.
Yeah.
That too,
like
anti-establishment. Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe that's it. I wasn't sure if it was just because it's such a like completely different sound. Like when you go into a fragrance store and they have the coffee, it's like they're just completely different. Yeah. So maybe
I don't know. The message is somewhat the same. Fuck the man. Yeah, you know?
I can appreciate that. Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if
you guys.
If you're gonna try to find him, look up Instagram, Lonely Design Co. You have a website, I'm sure.
Yep, lonelydesign.co.com. It's Lonely Design Co. on everything.
And go to what was the barbershop?
Lyle's Barbershop. Yeah.
60th
and Gleason. Legion Motorcycles. Shout out to Elizabeth Wilcott, my amazing girlfriend. She's an awesome artist. And Ty Palmer, great designer, been my friend for years. And yeah, no.
Cool, you got a pop-up shop coming up soon?
Nothing in the books, but if anyone wants to holler at me, I'm all ears.
He's around.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone. Like, subscribe, do all that shit. Peace out.
Peace.